when creating renderings to represent interior spaces, it's common to model only the part of the environment that will be visible in the final image. This practice allows you to focus better on the lighting of the framed area, making setup easier and potentially improving the quality of the light. However, this technique can sometimes compromise the realism of the image, since it doesn't take into account how light would interact in a fully enclosed environment. In most real cases, in fact, spaces are enclosed by walls on all sides, which significantly influences the behavior of light. Ignoring this dynamic can lead to results that are less authentic and realistic. For this reason, I prefer to adopt an approach that aims to reconstruct the entire environment, including all four walls that surround the furnishings. This method requires greater effort in setting up the lighting, but it is essential to ensure that the final rendering reflects reality as faithfully as possible. So let's proceed with modeling the walls. To make modeling easier, let's turn off the floor collection. Press Shift A and click on Mesh, then Cube. Let's change the values of the dimensions parameter as follows. Set the X value to 700 centimeters. Change the Y value to 10 centimeters and set Z to 300 centimeters. Set the view to the front. Make sure that the snap mode is set to vertex. Press Ctrl and the period key on the keyboard to detach the pivot from the object it's linked to and move it to the base of the wall. Press Ctrl and the period key again to reattach the pivot point to the wall. Set the Z value of the location parameter to 0. Switch to the top view and move the wall just behind the sideboard. Looking at the values shown for the scale parameter in the transfer window, we notice that they are not correct because they result from the changes we've made. Therefore, we need to apply the scale to the model. With the wall selected, press Ctrl+A, and from the menu that appears, choose Scale. In this way, the values of the three axes are reset to 1. Press Shift-D to make a copy of the wall and confirm with the right mouse button. Press R90 to rotate it by 90 degrees. In the location parameter of the transformation window, set the X value to 200 centimeters. Move it along the Y-axis so that it is below the wall behind the sideboard. Press the G and Y keys and while holding down Ctrl, snap it to the inner part of the horizontal wall. Since we rotated the wall, the Z rotation value in the rotation parameter of the transformation window needs to be corrected. Therefore, with the wall selected, press Ctrl+A, and from the menu that appears, choose Rotation. Press Shift-D and confirm the copy with the right mouse button. Move the copy of the wall to the left by setting X to -200 centimeters. This wall will be the external perimeter wall that will need to contain the French door. In the dimensions parameter of the transfer window, set X to 30 centimeters. Press GY -300 to move it down by 300 centimeters, thus creating the opening needed to place the French door. At this point, we can reduce the length of the wall by bringing the lower vertices to the same height as the right side wall. Switch the working mode to Edit mode. Set the view to wireframe and select the vertices at the bottom part of the wall. Press G. Press Y and, while holding down the Ctrl key, snap to the bottom part of the right wall. Switch back to Object mode and reactivate the solid view. For this wall as well, we need to apply the scale parameter, since the value shown on the X-axis is not correct. Press Ctrl+A and from the menu that appears, click on the Scale option. Select the wall behind the sideboard, press Shift-D and confirm with the right mouse button. In the location parameter, set the Y value to -600 centimeters. We position it at this distance to leave enough space for the subsequent placement of the camera. The structure is starting to take shape. Now we need to close off the top part of the environment with the ceiling. To do this, press Shift-A and select Mesh, then Plane. Using Snap, move the plane along the Z-axis until it attaches to the top of a wall. Switch the working mode to Edit mode and set the view from above. Select the two upper vertices and snap them to the outer edge of the wall behind the sideboard. Select the two lower vertices of the plane and snap them to the outer edge of the bottom wall. Select the two left side vertices and snap them to the outer edge of the left wall. Select the two right side vertices and snap them to the outer edge of the right wall. Let's return to Object mode and reactivate the floor collection. Before wrapping up this lesson as well, let's organize the outliner by adding collections for the walls and the ceiling. Select the walls we've modeled and press the M key in the 3D view. From the menu that appears, click on New Collection and assign the name Walls, followed by pressing Enter twice. Now select the ceiling and press the M key. Click on New Collection, type Ceiling, and press Enter twice. Let's save the file incrementally. In the next lesson, we will position the camera and complete the modeling of the wall behind the sideboard.